It says we're live already. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, this is something, I guess, a little bit new to get used to, and how this live pops up versus the other lives we used to do.
Yeah. No, we absolutely are live. There is no question about it. So good morning, Facebook.
Good morning, Facebook.
Good morning.
Jamaica.
Shawn. We're so caught off guard by how quickly it loads that we're just like, what are we even doing? And the closed captioning is working.
Awesome.
So everything is rocking and
that
rolling.
That much more inclusive, right?
Yeah.
People that, yeah, that's awesome. I really like the platform and how this is working out. This is great.
Yay! It's working. So for those that don't know, we now stream on both YouTube and on Facebook simultaneously. Super magic, yay! And I still am doing tech stuff, so you can talk and say words.
Well, I guess I'll check in. So it's Monday morning, y'all. There's a lot going on today. We got a lot to talk about. Before we get started there, I'm going to tell you, I ran again this morning. I'm back.
Again?
Yeah, I'm back. I got at least 2.5 miles in today. I mean, it sounds fly. It was a struggle. Let me tell you something. It's wild, windy outside. That it's cold, but it was a good run. I'm actually still kind of sweating from it. Then I came in and hit a little bit of the weights. Got a smoothie going, a little coffee. Yeah. I'm feeling good. I feel like there's a phrase or term people been using, the COVID weight. Like,
you got hit with that?
I feel like a little bit. At least for me. Now, mind you, this is all relatively speaking, right? So I used to be in pretty good shape. Now I'm like, I want to get back. So that's how I'm feeling this morning. I'm feeling energized. I feel good. I feel healthy. Lungs, chest, muscles, everything. I'm going to take my community strong photo again, like I did last year.
Nice.
And I'm feeling all right. How about yourself?
No. Why do people do that? Anyways, also worked out this morning, which those that follow me on Instagram or on my Facebook page, J Crew Fam, you saw the photos. Girls getting it in. And needed it this morning. It was a roller coaster this weekend. Like, there was good, there was bad, there was happy, there was like, it was a lot. And so this morning I'm like, I'm ready. And the hashtag I'm using is always Black August.
Always Black August.
Mind and body, baby.
Always Black August. Staying fit for the fight.
That's right, fit for the fight.
That's right.
And we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the fight today.
We do.
So those that are reading the screen see that this Monday morning live, we're going to be talking about the local police use of knee holds, legalizing marijuana. 420 is coming. Yeah. And the millions, tens of millions of dollars from the federal stimulus that's going to be coming to localities. Albany, Schenectady, Troy, Saratoga. They all getting a bunch of money, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's up. So it's like, I think we're like completely working. I can even see that Tom said good morning without looking at Facebook.
Now that's a step up from last week. Peace, Tom. Good morning, baby.
Exciting times. So listen, y'all, drop things in the chat because we tried that last week and it
didn't work.
It didn't work. Christine, what up? Oh, listen, special shout out to Christine. So this past weekend, Christine was hitting me with all types of ideas. Spoiler alert, about the event coming up on Thursday. Mm-hmm. So where can we flyer? What businesses, right? So thank you, Christine, because, that's what's up. But we're going to get to that. Yeah, in Schenectady. That's right. Schenectady, stand up. But what do you want to start with? We got all kinds of things to talk about.
We do. I mean,
25 minutes to do it.
25 minutes to do it. So I guess we can just this date is significant for a lot of reasons. We're talking about April 1st, what's going on there. We're talking about the knee holds that were re-implemented. Because remember, the knee holds were banned in the city of Schenectady last year after the murder of George Floyd.
Not just after the murder of George Floyd, right?
Well,
they didn't do it right after.
The uprising.
There was the uprising. Yes. There were the 13 demands. Yes. That called for a ban on knee holds. And then an officer put his knee on the neck of a local resident in Schenectady.
Yeah.
And after all of that, then they ban knee holds.
Yeah, maybe we're gonna stop doing this from now on,
yep.
right?
But where are we today?
Exactly. Last week, Common Council voted in a 4-1 vote to re-implement the plan that was offered by the chief and the mayor. And I'm saying the chief and the mayor are not the task force that they were supposedly co-chairs of, because primarily that's where that came from, right? Like I feel personally, after listening in and watching what was going on there, it was primarily led by those that are in lockstep with the chief and the mayor and the chief and the mayor themselves.
Yep.
Right. So we end up with hey, this is what we do on live. This is what we do on live. But yeah, so I mean, and then the coming full circle, it's really interesting that the officer that murdered George Floyd last year, trial starts today.
Yeah.
Right. And opening statements in that trial. And
what use of force did he use in the murder, the lynching, public display of George Floyd? What was that?
Exactly.
It was a knee hold.
Exactly.
It was a knee hold.
So that officer's on trial for the murder of George Floyd for using the knee hold that killed him.
Yep.
Schenectady decides a week before this to maybe we'll have it as something that they can still use as a possible kind of a way of immobilizing someone that they're trying to detain. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. They were so. I mean, how could you want, after looking at everything that happened last year and looking at the context of it, how important was it to the chief and the mayor that they made sure that stayed in as a part of policy? And then, not just them, because the Common Council had to vote it in.
The city council that has only 5 members right now because 2 had left for different reasons.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the fact that it was the only Black woman, the only Black member of the city council was the only one to speak up and speak out against it. Marion Porterfield, I'm going to shout you out every single time.
Facts.
Thank you. But
Facts.
Karen ZW, John Moodvarian, John Pomenini, and what is her name? Carmel Patrick. Good old Carmel Patrick. We used to be friends. We're not anymore. No, we're
it's
not.
Not a difference of opinion.
This is not
right?
When it is an impact on my existence and my humanity. It is not a difference of opinion.
Facts.
So I'm trying to find it. Actually, there was something the chief specifically said that had me like beside myself. Because there's, they had a discussion about it. They talked about it. And Michaela Foster sent us the actual recording of what it sounds like, what they were saying. I'm not finding it right now, but the thing was, he said, I don't want to limit my officers and tie their hands because then risk their safety.
Risk their safety. I mean, that's interesting. And no one wants anyone to be unsafe.
No.
No one wants anyone to be unsafe. But I think, honestly, that's BS, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about an officer who's a fully trained officer, bulletproof vest, guns, tasers, pepper sprays, all of this stuff, and the ability to call an army if need be.
Yep.
Needs more ways to be safe.
Well, listen, they need to be able to have one hand free and to call for help. So there could be a situation that they have to put their knee on someone.
Okay.
As opposed to they could have waited and they didn't have to engage them at all, number one.
Okay.
And
the same way they put their knee on the neck of the Schenectady resident.
Yep, Yogeshwar.
Who ultimately ended up those charges being dismissed against him for something he didn't really do. They didn't have the evidence of. Right. Come on, man. Like it's and we're only talking about the knee hold, which is it's supremely important, but it's so much bigger than that, right?
Oh, but let's be intentional.
Gotcha.
It's knee holds to the head.
Yes.
So the chief has said had to add it back in, knee holds to the head. And we were out in the community this weekend. We're actually talking to folks in Schenectady, specifically on Hamilton Hill. And one of the people that I spoke to at a local barbershop said, So my head pressed against the ground is okay. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me, right? And good morning to those that are watching us on YouTube right now. Appreciate you. Good morning to everybody watching on Facebook. Buenos dias to Maria. So yeah, this is, the chief said, knee to the head. Marion Porterfield said the head is so close to the neck that it's not like worth the risk. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. Her quotes can be found directly in the TU and the Daily Gazette that had covered it last week. But the argument is two things. Well, a couple things, right? Like officers need to be able to use everything in their tool belt, but also Karen ZW said they are so well trained. If they're so well trained, then why do they have to use a knee hold, and why isn't that they can't be trained in different ways? But my favorite part, hold on, because this is so much fun. Yeah. Karen ZW, she's up for re-election. I'm going to keep reminding people, don't vote for her. So she said that some time ago, a couple years ago, that an officer had engaged with someone who had mixed martial arts skills. And that officer was harmed. And we don't want to restrict him from being able to use whatever is necessary. Yeah. Yo, the knee hold wasn't saving you.
I'm sitting, I don't want to laugh.
Mixed martial arts. And you think the Schenectady police officers are so well trained, but they also need to be able to use a knee hold. And there was someone with mixed martial arts that caused physical harm to someone, and like they ended up being okay. They were back on the force, right? Really happy for that. I'm not kidding. Don't want people harmed. No, it's not a both and. Give me a knee hold and that's going to protect me from somebody that's using mixed martial arts. No.
It's ridiculous.
Unless the police force learns mixed martial arts, then they're not going to be able to, And they still have other tools in their tool belt. Yeah. Such as tasers and pepper spray that they've used before. So how are they making that decision? Which tasers are also problematic because we've had people die from those and have severe reactions. Hand-to-hand combat is what the police chief is worried about. One-on-one, hand-to-hand combat.
One-on-one, hand-to-hand combat. I wonder how often that actually happens where it's a one-on-one. The police ain't trained to go one-on-one with anybody.
How many times have we seen cars pulled over and it's like 2, 3, 4, 5 cops?
Come on, man. You serious? Come on.
And with Yergeshwar, he was going into his backyard, the officer
going away from
the cop.
At his residence. Which the officer knew was his residence. He could have stood there, called for backup, and said he's inside. All kinds of things over a slashed tire that they had no evidence that he did. But you want to keep that knee hold. Yeah, exactly. You want to keep that knee hold that has caused harm as a possibility. We got all kinds of things in the chat. I'm seeing the can of justice, but before I get to that, I just want to say, so what's happening? What are we doing? April 1st.
Listen. So really excited because I have all kinds of gadgets on here that allow us to do things. Boom. What's happening? What's happening? We're going to be at City Hall on Thursday at 4 p.m. Schenectady City Hall. It's on our Facebook page. It's on our Instagram. There's a cool flyer. I don't have the color version right here. That's just whack. So I'm not showing you the black and white one. But the link that's on here, your screen right now, the bit.ly / somebody was prepared this morning. Get your knee. Will take you directly to the Facebook page. Show up. We're going to be there at least from 4 to 6.
At least from 4
to 6. At least from 4 to 6.
We're going to leave it at that. At least from 4 to 6.
We're calling for them to ban all knee holds. It's really, we've been saying this. Yeah. And they did it.
Yeah.
They did it. One of the few things they listened to. They did ban all knee holds eventually, right? It took a whole lot of media attention, and media is going to be there on Thursday. Y'all need to come out. If you're looking for an opportunity to help us flyer, we're going to be out in Schenectady on Tuesday. You can get more information by joining our email list, actionnetwork.org /forums /all-of-us -in-2021.
You lost me at the first two hyphens. I don't know where you're going with that.
I did the whole hyphen thing. But you also can get information if you follow us on Instagram at Untitled and Free. If you follow us on Twitter, guess where? At Untitled and Free. And one more, where? My all-time favorite, Facebook. Because what happened on Facebook last week with a video?
Ooh, yeah, a video that's still like, what is it, over 3,000 views right now? When you went off on the fact that they actually had the audacity to re-implement knee holds. Yeah, that video.
3,000 views, like 94 shares. People are not happy.
People reaching out from all over.
Texas. Black people in Texas said, "I got you."
Yeah, facts. It's amazing. It's amazing. We have stranger contacts too. We go get into those stranger people trying to reach out, but at the same time, it's a beautiful thing. It reached a lot of people. You really spoke in passion about, how your feelings about them re-implementing knee holds. And I think that you also voiced the opinion of a lot of people in the community, because when you were out there talking about it, right? Yeah. People were like, "What?" Yeah. Like, it just like, really? And which is a whole nother problem, because
they didn't know
the transparency of this task force and this process. Yeah. Like, how did you make sure that the community that's most directly impacted by the policy changes that you were supposed to be implementing were aware of what was going on? How did you do it? They did not.
They did not.
Period.
They did not. Because if they really wanted the community to be aware, they would have partnered with grassroots organizations to make sure they were out in the community, sharing information and letting them know, not just putting it in a news article or, on their website, which is atrocious. It is a horrible website.
Made it difficult for people to even be involved in the city council process. The whole thing. And there's so many different problems. But listen, it is an electoral year. It is an electoral year. We have more Black people running in Schenectady for city common council seats than ever before. It's an opportunity, not just because they Black, mind you, not just because they have their complexion looks like mine.
These skin folk.
Our kinfolk, right? So there's an opportunity to have folks in those seats that actually give a damn about the community and are willing to, the entire community. When I say that, the entire community, meaning especially those that are most directly impacted and harmed by the systemic structures that have been problematic historically, right? Yeah. They understand that they have that lens, they have anti-racism, some of them have anti-racism training, have been involved, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's an opportunity, I think, to get some real change in our community.
Because the vast majority of people that are living in our local communities are harmed by the systems and structures that currently exist. Black people, brown people, LGBTQ plus community, poor white folk are not doing well under knee holds.
No.
Ain't working for you.
Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all. We're just, when we're talking about, addressing these policies, this isn't a policy that just impacts one people, right? No. This is only it was just y'all. We're going, no, this is a policy that impacts every single person in their interaction with the police, should that ever happen, right? Should that ever occur, this will impact you. It's just that we can easily point out the fact that disproportionately those interactions happen with people that look like me and you.
Yep.
Period. That's just how that thing goes.
But that's why we need to show up on Thursday. Right? We have to in the city of Schenectady. City of Schenectady. City Hall. If you don't get out of work until 4:30, 5 o'clock, it's okay.
Right, we'll be there.
We're still gonna be there, right? Because we're gonna have a rally, we're gonna have a speak out, we're gonna lift up voices, we're gonna do what we did last year. Yeah. We're just gonna be louder and bigger, and it's just gonna keep growing because that's what we do. So on this day that the murder trial associated to George Floyd and knee holds begins, we want to make sure Schenectady shows up.
That's right. So if you out there in Schenectady, man, I'm going to be reaching out to y'all personally. Some of y'all Schenectady folks that I grew up with, this is my hometown. I've been here forever. And I'm going to be reaching out. So look for my call on Messenger, my text message, something. I need y'all to show up, man. I know y'all care about this stuff as much as I do. Yeah. I know life gets busy, but we need as many people down there as possible making their voices heard and demanding that real change happen in Schenectady. Because we're talking about knee holds, and that is a minimum. Like, that is a minimum of things that need to change, right? Yep. We need to make sure that that's a low bar. We need to make sure that our, the CPRB here in our city has more teeth right? And it's taking out of the budget, not adding to the budget. That we have things like Batman's here. We're Batman. Peace, Batman. What's up, baby? Like we have things similar to what was passed in Albany, like Local Law J. Yep. Right? Where now the Common Council has subpoena power, right? For witness testimony and evidence, and are part of the disciplinary process. And they're not just there as some kind of performative or symbolic gesture, like, hey, we care. Come on, man. No. The investigation. They can conduct their own investigation.
Yeah.
And they have the money to do it.
We don't have time to talk about this.
We don't. Where are we going? Marijuana? I don't partake, but I'm just saying. I know y'all marijuana heads is happy is all heads.
Oh, yes. So let me
maybe because the prices might go up. But
well, I mean, capitalism is still a thing, right?
It definitely is.
So that's real. But here's what's up.
Did somebody say Alberta?
I'm not. We're not gonna.
Okay.
So let's move on. As we're talking about policing in our local communities, there is something that is happening in New York that should have an impact on policing in our communities, right?
Yes.
So last week, legislation was introduced to legalize marijuana, the recreational use of marijuana. Be specific. Yeah. You don't need a prescription anymore.
Truthfully, y'all been doing recreational marijuana all this time, but now
it'll be legal,
it's legal
for everybody, and not just the melanin challenge.
Yes.
The idea within the legislation, there are a couple different pieces that are really good.
Yeah.
One, expungement of records, because the idea that you would have on your record something that is now legal
makes absolutely
no sense, right? So expungement of records. Also, taking funding and investing it in the marginalized and harmed communities.
Yes.
So as they are getting taxation from marijuana, that it would go back to the communities that are most harmed. Also, that there would be equity in creating dispensaries. Now,
who's defining equity?
Not just who's defining, but something that I was talking about on David King's page, and thank you, David King, for sharing it, and does a really good job of making things succinct. So if y'all don't follow David King and Independent 518, please do, because it is a wealth of independent media knowledge that is truthful and helpful. But talked about the fact that if this becomes law, because it hasn't yet, right? It has to go through the Senate and the Assembly, and then the governor has to sign it, or they have to go override over his head. What's the implementation look like, y'all? Because they can say on paper, marijuana is legal, and we're going to give equity to business loans and licensing, and we're going to expunge records. Who's going to make sure that happens? I'm specifically worried about what happens for all of it. But when I think about the expungement of records, we know that DAs just add shit on, right? So they'll be like, oh, it's a marijuana charge and resisting arrest and, open container, like whatever the thing is, because you smelled weed. So are they going to show equity in the expungement of records to let these people come home immediately? And who's going to apply pressure to assure that our community members come back home who are predominantly Black and brown for these marijuana charges? Yep, this guy for sure. I'll be there too. And then how are you going to make sure those people that were in jail for selling marijuana are now selling it legally? That they get the license, that they have storefronts, and I heard that you actually can grow it at home too.
I did see that. I don't know, was she lying? Because that was a report on the news.
It was on the news.
It was one of the
mainstream media.
It was one of the mainstream media folks.
Yes.
Now, look, we have to read the entire package. And I want to bring up a couple of good points. As Tom mentioned something in the chat that I actually saw the other day. We were talking about DWAI and how they're trying to figure out the testing aspect. So if someone is, someone is, you know what I mean, potentially intoxicated from marijuana use, how do they test for it? The problem with the testing practices for marijuana is what that it could, it could take trace. I could have smoked weed 2 weeks ago. Right, and or the other day or whatever, and it's going to come up positive. That doesn't mean I'm high.
Nope.
Right, at the time that I'm driving. So that's something that's a stickler. They're going to have to figure out. The other thing I want to, I think about is, remember I forgot who brought it up. We were talking about the fines and all the other stuff.
Oh yeah, fines and fees.
Fines, court search, all of that stuff that happened.
How they getting their money back?
How they getting money? And then in addition to that, like if you had a felony for a marijuana conviction and then ended up with another felony for something else, you were sitting as a second-time felony offender, and therefore your sentence was more harsher than what it would have been. So, like, how are they addressing all of that? So there's a lot going on with the re-implementation of this bill and them wanting this money, right? They want their billions of dollars that they see all the other states getting. So they're going to have to do something.
Somebody said there's a breathalyzer test for THC now. Okay, can we also talk about pseudoscience?
There's a what now? What? Breathalyzer test?
Here's the thing, and we don't have time to talk about it today. I want there to be a time that we talk about it, because within the justice system, those people that are lab techs and do all the CSI stuff, it's not reliable science. It's not. And so people have been convicted on pseudoscience. And so when I see that there's a breathalyzer test for THC now on the heels of marijuana becoming legal, yeah, I'm flag on the play. Flag on the play. Sorry, I'm gonna need to review the tape. I'm gonna need some data. I'm gonna need some serious, hardcore scientific facts, and it can't come from USA Today. That's all I'm saying. And let's take a look at. But I don't want just because I don't know what the hell that person's talking about, the breathalyzer test. And it may be a thing. Yeah. You may have heard it. It may be real. Maybe not. I don't know. I never heard it before. They're still struggling in the implementation of the legislation to do something about that. And someone in the chat said, I read the whole 130-page bill. I have this for my job. I appreciate that. If you got some tidbits or kernels of a knowledge you feel like sharing, please share in the chat. I'm sure everybody's interested and would like to know what you know right now. Also, I would always say, anyone listening on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, make sure you do your own research. Make sure you look this stuff up yourself. Don't just listen to us, even though we do oftentimes know exactly what we're talking about. I am not always right. Jamaica might be. I am not always right. Wait, no, it says so right on my cup.
Exactly.
I don't know that you can see.
Yep. I think they got
always
it.
Right. There
always, yeah. And it's not the same for me. I try my best. I struggle. But you're absolutely right, bro. Like addressing all the harms. You know what I mean? From this aggressive enforcement of the law in our communities based on freaking marijuana, that they now like, oh, wait a minute, we can make a whole lot of money off of this.
Yeah. So Matt, who did read the bill, thank you, said that the Office of Cannabis Management, love the name, which is like the State Liquor Authority, but for cannabis, will need to review science and research to determine ways to address driving while impaired. So you know what that means? They're going to get money. They're going to get funded to do the work. And who's going to be in those seats? Who's going to be making those decisions? We know that science can be biased.
That's right.
Growing up Black, you learn that science can be biased. Good morning, Anthony. There's a reason we have a distrust. I mean, hundreds of years of distrust. So we'll see what that looks like. We can't keep talking about it. Like we could keep talking about it, but we don't have time to keep talking about it.
We'll keep talking about it as time goes on. We'll keep having this discussion.
We got to talk about it.
We need to figure out where that money's going, who's involved, what's happening, and we got to continue to make sure y'all are aware and point y'all in the direction of where y'all can go find some of this stuff.
Okay, we already know the first places that are going to be able to distribute are the vape houses that already have licenses. They already are going to be able to immediately, which are largely owned by who? Privileged white folks, already going to be able to distribute. I think I saw one vape shop owned by a person of color. But Matt did say that 3 of the 5 people that are going to be on that committee are appointed by the governor. We'll see who the governor is when that appointment happens. And then 2,
drum roll. We don't know.
And 2 by the legislative leaders. But speaking of money, right? Because this is about money. This is about resources for communities. We do need to talk about this last piece, local funding. tens of millions of federal stimulus money is coming to local communities. It is a COVID relief package that Albany, Schenectady, Troy, Saratoga, they're all going to get money. The only number I know is for Albany. And that's because we had the Power of the People conversation last Thursday.
Shout out to Lauren, Batman, Destiny, Center for Law and Justice, LV 518, Red Bookshelf, all of y'all.
Yep.
Big shout out.
$86.5 million. It sounds like the lottery, right? So that's how much money Albany is getting. That means Schenectady is getting some. They'll get less because it's by population and impact and all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's the usual calculation. How are localities going to spend that money, Shawn? How do you think they're going to decide?
How are they going to decide? They're going to decide with us in the room or us on being loud, something, because we know it's coming. What they think they're going to do is just be able to do whatever what they've been doing is do whatever they want with the money. Yeah. For instance, the tens of millions of dollars they spend on community builders and building all that affordable housing, quote unquote, affordable housing in the community without ever making sure that there was some training or job opportunities for those folks that are directly impacted right in the community. The impoverished community, which is what percentage of the community is impoverished? Close to
70% is living in poverty. And we're not talking about the federal standard of poverty. We are talking United Way, Alice report, that is the livable poverty.
Yeah.
Like to actually live, not the, household of 4 that makes less than $20,000. That's not the actual numbers, but it's something ridiculous, right? The United Way has a report that shows what the actual cost of living is and how many people in each locality across the United States. So all of the counties and cities in New York, they have the data for.
Yeah.
It is close to 70% for the city of Schenectady.
Yeah.
And the mayor is proud to say that $75 million has gone into Hamilton Hill.
Yeah. Proud.
To who?
Exactly.
To who? And him. Who got that $75 million? Gary, I know you hear me. Not us.
Can I just give you a brief explanation of what we're talking about?
Yes.
So Community Builders is the huge contracting company that came in.
And a good company.
Yeah, supposedly a good company. They do it for that. They do what they do, right? They contracted out all that money they got. They contracted a third party, UW Marks, to come do the work in the community. UW Marks is based in Troy. Yeah. What I did was drive around our city to all these sites where they were working, and what I saw on those sites were people, white men primarily, working either in carpentry or they were plumbing, electricians or whatever. They were doing some sort of work.
Yeah.
And it always strikes me as odd when I see that kind of work, because I know a lot of money's going there. I used to do contracting myself.
Yeah.
So I know
it's good paying.
It's good paying. It's good pay. It's actually career jobs.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just the labor where you got to tote stuff around. Like there's good jobs. And I'm looking at that, and it strikes me when I'm in the middle of the blackest, poorest community in Schenectady. And there ain't not one black person anywhere on any of these sites. And I'm watching at the same time young black men and women and children walking up to and fro up and down the street, right? And going to their corner stores, whatever the case to be. Wait, what's going on here? Yeah. So I inquired, and I'll just tell you this. They didn't have a plan to make sure that folks in our community had jobs. They didn't have a plan to make sure they had trainers so they could get the jobs, because that's what they end up saying.
Yes.
Oh, there's not enough trained candidates. So, okay.
Schenectady mayor says it all the time.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about the fact that there's no feeder program into the workforce. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can invest in a feeder program, because there's plenty of people in Schenectady right now willing to do the work.
Yes.
Willing to train people to get these jobs.
Yep.
So I just figured, how much was that? 70s plus million, whatever it was, whatever those millions of dollars.
Yep.
Those people, and this is one thing, I am not knocking anyone from working and making money for themselves.
Right.
But that money that was being spent was spent on the buildings and the construction of the buildings, and then the people that got paid, they took that money out of the community. To their communities.
I mean, they may have bought lunch.
They may have bought lunch. Okay, they got a couple dollars in lunch. What percentage is that? My point is, they're taking the money right out of the community, and we're not trying to listen. We're going to be at the doors, of the steps of our officials to make sure that how this money gets spent in a way that's equitable, and that the communities that have been neglected for so long get something.
Yeah.
They get something out of this. Because they deserve it.
Tom's right. There is the Seat Center in Schenectady, which offers workforce support to young people. And it should receive some of that money.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
No.
We need more programs and more intentional training for these career jobs, right?
It's about equity, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about giving some, say, hey, here's a training thing for this job over here. It's about getting in there and making, so what did we say?
And what did Lauren say?
What did Lauren say?
Remember what Lauren said?
Tell me what she said.
So we're having the conversation, Power of the People, and Lauren Banning, Center for Law and Justice, what up, said, oh, when they do job training, they teach you how to write a resume.
Oh,
they tell you how to be well-spoken,
yeah.
how to show up for an interview, how to be respectable. That's not the job training we are talking about. We are talking about hard skills for a career path, and then having a feeder program that is connected to those jobs that are available. Like working with businesses to say, hey, we're going to have these people that have these types of skills that are construction, whatever, and feed them into that program. They have nursing programs that do that. Mm-hmm. How many other programs can we do that with? And are there other nursing programs, especially with what we just lived through and are still living through with COVID, that we can fund? The SCAP program. What funding for job training could we actually get? And it's ACAP in Albany, right?
Yeah.
Because Albany community members were saying the same thing, that they want this money to go directly to the community, to invest in the community, to defund the police, to not give more money to policing, but to have programs, support services, direct services that will actually give equity to lift people out of poverty, not simply have their heads just above water, because poverty is man-made. And so as the human beings responsible, let's stop poverty. Mayor McCarthy, Mayor Sheehan, Mayor Madden, Saratoga, Lord, because the homelessness, Saratoga, one of the wealthiest locations in the capital region.
Yeah, for sure.
But has a homeless situation. They're homeless people that they're not taking care of. So we need to make sure that people are aware that this is happening. This money is coming in. Pay attention to your city council meetings. When are they happening? If you are not already on our email list, you need to get on our email list. Why? Because we send email blasts out. We send action alerts on Fridays, and then we send weekly emails on Monday. And often it includes how to get in touch with your local elected officials or where the information is for upcoming city council meetings. So join the email list, be better connected. Learn more about upcoming actions and events because it's protest season.
But it is getting warm. It's getting warm. And we're in I think we're finally in a space where people are getting a handle on how to actually move safely. Yeah. It's been some time. We're talking about a full year now and some change since lockdown. And yeah, that season is back, and we need y'all to be there to make sure that these changes happen in all of our communities, not just the city of Schenectady, not just the city of Albany, but we got Troy, Saratoga, all over. Wherever you're at, wherever you're watching this live, if you want to make change happen, you have to get involved. You have to get involved, find like minds, figure out what the problems are, and then work on what the solutions, and then bring them to wherever your representatives are and demand that those changes
Here's
happen.
The solution.
There you go.
Before we sign off, because we're over on time.
Of course.
Big surprise.
Of course. What we said, a half? Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it is protest season, and one of the largest moments of 2020 was us shutting down Bumpies.
Oh, yes.
Right?
It was huge.
Shut it down. Now, all of the media out there just keep saying Black Lives Matter activists that brought attention to all of us that shut down Bumpies, all of us that brought it to the media's attention, that were there day after day after day, that had to run from the then owner pointing a gun at folks. Yeah. Right? That person is being prosecuted by the Attorney General. But today, under new ownership. And a new name, Stella's Bakery is opening at the old location. So if you want to go and see that this new location is better than the one that was there before, their grand opening is today, I believe at 10 a.m., 10 or 10:30, something like that. I'm sure if you
10:30.
10:30.
10:30 today is the grand opening.
Stella's Bakery Eatery on State Street in the city of Schenectady.
They sell ice cream. They got custard and all kinds of stuff. I looked them up.
We shut down Bumpy's.
Yes, we did.
And created an opportunity for a young family.
And I just want to, just to remind you all, like that started because David Emeldorf, there was a text about not hiring Black people. There was racist comments, at a community member right next to the shop at their children or grandchildren, excuse me.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how that even started. If you were wondering like what happened and how that go down, that's how that got jumped off.
They can just go to our Facebook page and watch the videos from last year.
They should go to our Facebook page anyway and just look at all of that stuff. There's a lot of stuff there.
There's a lot of good stuff. Whoo, we over on time. So
we are over on time.
But it was a good conversation. We've got a lot to talk about.
We did. And I appreciate talking to y'all every Monday. This is a great platform to kind of discuss our stuff in the community. I hope you all be well. And I hope to see, I don't care if you ain't from Schenectady or not, right? I hope to see everyone on April 1st, 4:00 at City Hall.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
We got a lot to discuss.
We do. And we need to lift up those voices and we need your support. So when you come on Thursday, not if, when you come on Thursday, bring your mask. But we'll have extras.
We will for sure.
There'll be water because it's protest season. But it's a chance. It's gonna be chilly.
So make sure you dress for it.
Dress for the weather. Dress appropriate for the weather. Wear your mask. Drink plenty of water. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.
Later, y'all.